Welcome to the version 1 SAM Teams series of short fireside chats. My name is Jason Pepper and I will be joined in these sessions by my colleague Brian Lavelle. In each of these videos we will take a few minutes to talk about all things software asset management and license optimization and highlight some of the license impacts caused by typical business compelling events or change. In this chat we'll discuss the typical concerns and license or contractual challenges that might be overlooked when businesses enter into merger and acquisition arrangements, and how an independent view of software contracts could help you avoid additional and often unbudgeted cost.
So one of the things that customers talk to us a lot about is when they're getting involved in mergers and acquisitions. Obviously it's a time where there's a lot of change for whether it's a company who's being acquired or whether it's a company doing the acquiring. So from a licensing perspective, what are the kind of things that people need to be aware of, people need to think about during those?
Well, the first thing to realise is that from a vendor perspective, a merger or an acquisition, any kind of structural change like that, is an opportunity to come and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because the license grant will generally specifically state, that it's granted to a company or an entity, and it might say that it's also granted to minority subsidiary organisations, minority-owned subsidiary organisations. The problem occurs that with M&A, especially if the licence is granted to a company that is then acquired, those licences don't automatically apply to the parent organisation. Right. So they may also not transfer. Like a lot of the answers to the conversations we have, the main answer is you need to look at your license grant to understand what will happen in the event of that merger or that acquisition. Okay. Will the grant roll over? Will it roll? Does it apply upwards? So for example, there may be a specific clause in there that says that it doesn't apply to joint ventures, or it only applies to minority holdings. It can be very, very specific.
Yeah.
It may also say that after a merger or an acquisition that the license grant terminates. So you may have no licenses,
right,
which would be a big problem if you were assuming that they were there.
Okay.
So it's definitely a problem to consider.
Yeah, but at the same time, from what you're saying, it's not always a negative outcome. That once you review your contracts, it could be a case of that there's stuff in there you could utilise, but until you know what's in there.
Correct. Yeah, making the assumption could be the problem.
Yeah,
you may well find that if you review the contracts and you identify what the impact of the detail of those contracts is, it could be a positive impact.
Yeah,
it often isn't.
Yeah,
but it's always worth doing that. Yeah. Doing that validation before, or at least as part of the due diligence for that M&A process. You should also assume that an M&A activity will result in engagement from the vendor.
Yeah.
They are going to come knocking, and they are going to say, "Oh, can we have a chat to you about the new situation? How's the entity structure going to look like, and what would that mean from a licensing perspective?"
Okay. So obviously reviewing the contract paperwork and stuff like that is a main thing customers should be doing. Is there anything else that kind of is up there on the important list?
I'd say planning for engagement with the vendor is probably key, right? If you've got all the information to hand and you understand what the likely end point is going to be, then you will be prepared for having that conversation.
Yeah.
If you know that you're going to have to buy additional licenses because of the M&A structure is going to look like this particular position, just because that's the way it is. Then you can prepare for that and you can allocate budget accordingly. Whereas if you haven't done that, it could potentially be a very large unbudgeted spend problem.
Yeah. Okay. So the main benefit then is once you have the information, you can go to the vendor, you can have those conversations, you can almost lead to those conversations rather than waiting.
Yeah, but it turns it into a positive vendor conversation rather than a confrontational vendor conversation. Yeah. Forewarned is forearmed. If you understand what the position is, you could potentially avoid financial risk. You could avoid potential audit situations, and you're definitely going to avoid a kind of confrontational situation with the vendor.
Okay, great. Thanks for that.
This fireside chat is part of a series of chats covering a wide range of license topics, which you can find at our SAM YouTube playlist below. You can also review our content on LinkedIn by using the hashtag SAMVideoChat. Finally, if you have a license concern or would like to understand how your IT projects impact your enterprise licensing, please contact us for an initial complimentary consultation at www.version1.com/contact. Thank you.